Good morning and welcome to this session of the live coaching classes conducted by the Board of Studies of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And it's definitely a pleasure to be back again. I got a message from Somesh Karat, which is happy to see me again. Hey, one sec. Okay, just, I don't know why this. Yeah. So thank you. Nice to have Hitesh Jain back, Bharadwaj, and Mahadev, Bharadwaj, Ayush, Aita is here, Bandredi. I hope all of you are here. Pujas, the both two pujas I'm not able to see, but that's okay. What happened last session, the query pad I could not access, but this time I'm able to access the query pad, so no problem at all. If any, and I just couldn't go through the queries because I've been very busy with audit finalizations for the past about a week or so. I've been traveling also and training. So I'm so sorry. Not that I'm giving you a reason, but I couldn't go through the query. So if there is any question that was not answered by me, obviously because I didn't see the query pad, kindly raise it again. I will answer it because we are still going through the Indian Contract Act. We are not out of it yet. Maybe we will go through the Indian Contract Act agency, and then we will, after we finish agency, we will have time. We will go through the General Clauses Act. Then we'll move on. Next session would be possibly the last session when I would cover General Clauses Act fully, inshallah. It will happen. Okay, don't worry about that. The point is, as far as General Clauses Act is concerned, okay, when I come there, I will tell you. Without much ado, let us begin. Let us go on. I think we saw all these things. We saw the how an agent is appointed, right? We saw what is ratification, etc., etc. Okay, agent, sub-agent. We saw what is a substituted agent. We also were seeing the differences between the sub-agent and the substituted agent. Basic difference: sub-agent and the principal have no link. Even if the sub-agent is, see where the this chart is very important. See. 3 cases where a sub-agent can be legally appointed. One is if the terms of appointment originally contemplate appointment of a sub-agent. So the principal at the time of appointing the agent says, hey, you can appoint a sub-agent because this job obviously needs more people to help you. So you can appoint a sub-agent, right? That is express. Are you able to understand? That is express, where words, written or spoken, at the time of appointment of the sub-agent, it's clearly stated there. See, the principal himself says, hey, you can appoint sub-agent, right? Another, where normally the custom of trade may provide for appointment of sub-agents. That is absolutely implied in the conduct. It has to be proved. One thing that the British did when they enacted laws for our country was they allowed the customs and usages to continue. They did not disturb customs and usages. So they wanted to, sort of give an opening there. Okay, some sort of a savings there. And they said, hey, if there is a custom in this trade, by which sub-agents are normally appointed, and this fellow appoints a sub-agent, it could be due to geography. It could be because the geography of the area is such that the agent cannot go everywhere. So he may have sub-agents as a matter of trade. If so implied, there is an impliedly sub-agent. So then the sub-agent would be treated as the agent of the principal, which means everything that the sub-agent does is binding on the principal. Right. Now, in the course of agent's appointment, unforeseen emergency arises, which make it necessary for him to delegate authority. In which case, to the extent of the, see, in a way, what happens now? This is agency by necessity, except that the agent, instead of doing it, is doing it through another person, but that is due to unforeseen emergency. In the same way that an agent by necessity becomes an agent, this sub-agent will become an agent of the principal. Right? Other than these 3, sub-agent cannot bind the principal. Please understand, the acts done by the sub-agent, other than these 3 situations, okay, and the unforeseen emergency, remember, he will not become a permanent agent. Other acts will not be binding on the principal. Do you understand the basic difference? That one act that he does on behalf of the agent due to an unforeseen emergency alone, the principal will be bound. And that too, you remember, go back to agency by necessity. That should be something that the agent or sub-agent would have done. A man of ordinary prudence for his own goods would have done, or for his own situation would have done. If that condition is satisfied, only then this will happen. This is a very exceptional situation. Normally, if everything that the sub-agent does should be binding on the principal, then either it should be expressly contracted, words are written or spoken, or there should be a custom of the trade implying that there is an appointment. Other than this, no. The privity of contract is between sub-agent and agent. There is no privity of contract between sub-agent and principal except in these two cases. In this case and this case. Other than this. And in this case, only for that act. I hope I'm making... That is why the arrow mark is not here. The arrow mark doesn't go here. This is only an exceptional, one single situation, where in that exception he can do it. Right? I know I may be... Because some people have the doubt about sub-agent, etc., etc. Sub-agent and principal. In fact, one student was asking me, what is the meaning of privity of contract? Privity of contract. The word privity of contract, we have been using it regularly. It means, remember, privity of contract means the right to sue. When do I get the right to sue? Right to file a suit in the court of law and claim whatever my rights are. When there is a breach, who can sue? Only parties to the contract can sue. Only those people who are parties. But third persons cannot sue because they don't have privity of contract. They are not party to the contract. That's what it means. And they have another Latin term we use for your, to improve your language skill. We call it third persons have no locus standi. Third persons have no LOCUS, locus standi, STANDII, locus standi. They have no locus standi. So, in fact, when suppose you and your friend are arguing about something which is private to you, and a third person just pokes their nose and says, I think what he says is right, then immediately both of you can turn on him and say, look here, this is between us. Kindly get out, because you don't have locus standi. So, third party have no locus. So, when I say there is no privity of contract between sub-agent and principal, it means any act done by the sub-agent, the principal is not privy to that contract. Agent is bound by the sub-agent's acts, but not the principal, because there is no privity between them. And, okay. See, the important point in agency is that all acts done by a validly appointed agent is binding on the principal. This is a danger. Because remember, partnership is an implied agency, where each partner is an agent for the other partners. Mutual agency. They bind each other. Therefore, if validly appointed, a partner becomes an agent. Any act done by a partner is binding on all the other partners who are liable jointly and severally. Right? Same, like that. So, agency is not just me appointing. There could be so many situations where agency is created. Wife is an agent of husband. We saw that. But only for necessaries. And only when they are cohabiting. Only when they are living together and the husband's responsibility is there to maintain. The wife leaves of her own free will and accord, on her own wish, and doesn't stay with the husband, she cannot claim for necessaries. But where she is living aside without any fault on her side, due to the husband's misbehavior, then the husband has the duty to provide the necessaries. To that extent, she can contract, and that will be binding on the husband, and the wife becomes an agent of the husband. Otherwise, no. And the crucial word is necessaries. Right? I'm just recapping some of the topics that we saw. As against this, the substituted agent is a person who is appointed with the express or implied authority. Okay. For example, I am your commercial agent. I have to file the GST return. Now, I don't know how to file the GST return, Baba, for you. So, I hire a chartered accountant to do it. That chartered accountant becomes a substituted agent. Whatever he does is binding on us. As your agent, I have made him my substituted agent. Because I'm just a businessman. I'm an agent. I'm commercial man. I don't know anything about GST, BST. So I hire a chartered accountant or whatever to file the returns on our behalf. That gentleman or lady becomes the substituted agent. Right? Normally it will be express, but even if it is done in the course of trade, impliedly, yes. After all, you want me to file the GST return. I can't do it. I'm hiring him. Nothing wrong. Right? In selecting, the agent is bound to exercise the amount of discretion that a man of ordinary prudence would exercise in his own case. Suppose this is your own accounts. Will you hire this man for filing GST return? Yeah, then it's okay. Suppose the agent is using the same person, good. That means you would hire. But suppose that fellow is a useless fellow, irresponsible idiot who doesn't even understand GST basics, and knowingly you hire that fellow, then sorry. Okay. Again and again, the basic question is whether the Agents Act will bind the principal or not. Any question in agency would be around that. Again and again, they will come back to that, whether the act done by the agent is binding. So in each situation, you should see what the law is and apply it. Whether the Agents Act is binding on the principal. That is the crux of agency. So we don't want to waste our time. Do read this through. So duties and obligations of an agent. Duty to execute mandate. See, mandate means instructions. When I'm giving you some names, words like this, I hope all of you are having a notebook and a pen or a pencil with you, making note of what I'm saying. Because some words, I can't keep putting on the PowerPoint. So some words, if you're not familiar, now use it. The word mandate is again a Latin root. It means instruction. What I have told you to do, do it. What is your mandate? That means what is your duty? What are you instructed to do? In fact, sometimes we say, stick to your mandate. Don't go outside because you were instructed to do this act. Why are you doing other things? Stick to your mandate. This is something we keep telling people. Suppose we want somebody to answer a question or explain something. The fellow goes and talks about something totally different. We can say, hey, stick to your mandate. Yeah, you are supposed to speak on this topic. Kindly to go ahead and do that. So the agent has a duty to execute the instructions given to him. Or mandate. Means the mandate is slightly bigger than instructions. A mandate is a set of instructions or a goal to be achieved. A mandate is something like a goal to be achieved. The principal has told the agent, do it. So the agent has to do it. That is the mandate. Okay. Now see, I give a letter to my sub-staff and I asked him to go to some office and deliver the letter to somebody. Now that is the mandate. But to do that, he might have to take a bus, etc., etc. All that is part of that. What is the mandate? Go deliver the cover and come back. If there's a reply, bring it back. So that is the mandate. He becomes my agent. Please understand. In this contract, in this activity, he becomes my agent. Duty to follow instructions, or if that is the custom of the trade, the customs. Duty of reasonable care and skill. The reasonable is a very powerful word. What? Reasonable simply means the same care that a man of ordinary prudence would take of his own goods. Duty to maintain accounts for not his accounts, principal's accounts, and account for it and give it. See, I'll give a simple example. I give my driver 5,000 rupees and I go to the market and buy things which he does regularly for me. I give him $1,000. Then he gives. At the end of the 2-3 days, he has to come back to me and he has to give me a itemized list of expenses. So usually whenever I travel outside of Chennai, when I take my car out, I give my driver $2,000. The idea is, please don't disturb me. You pay all this stuff. Whatever incidental expenses, you bear it. Because I got other things to do. I got a job to do. Please don't disturb me. At the end of the trip, when I come back, he has to give me his accounts. What happened? It's a duty. Okay. Duty to communicate with the principal. Whenever something is going wrong or whenever some extraordinary circumstances arise, he has to communicate. He has to keep the principal updated. Without telling the principal, if he exceeds his authority, principal is not bound. That's what his mandate is clear. Okay, you want to exceed your mandate, you want to do something differently, no problem. Come to me, come to the principal, ask me, tell me, do it. I will approve it, you do it. Only suppose you do something without my knowledge or consent, but if it is, now go back to ratification. I have the option now. I can either ratify or I need not ratify. Suppose it is good for me, I will ratify. But if it is not good for me or I don't want to, then I am not bound by that act. Okay. Which is why in an agency, better to take express approvals from the principal when it is going a little beyond the mandate. Duty to avoid conflict of interest. That is, again, agent can make a profit. Simple. Principal's goods are there, agent's goods are there. Both the goods are being sold by the agent. Now, he has to sell on behalf of the principal. Sometimes what he can do, he can buy the principal's goods himself. He can buy it himself. He can become the buyer. No problem. But disclose it. Tell him. And there should be no conflict of interest. Right? That's it. Let us see if there are any questions. Okay, duty not to make secret profit. That's what I meant. You can make a profit on behalf of the principal. Yeah, no problem. It should be there. You can tell him, boss, I am going to sell on your behalf, right? So this is what I'm going to do. Is it okay? I'm making money here. Chalo, no problem. Because I can't do what you're doing. Take it. Take that. No problem. But without telling him, you should not make a secret profit. Duty to remit sums. That means whatever collections are made on behalf of the principal should be remitted or paid to him. Duty not to delegate is the fundamental rule. Sub-agent is an exception. Substituted agent is an exception. Validly appointed sub-agent and substituted agent are exceptions to the general rule. Duty not to use any confidential information received in the course of agency against the principal. Obvious. Many business secrets will be known, customer will be known, turnover information will be known, should not be revealed to anybody against the principal. Once again, let me see if any questions are there. Yeah. Sir, in case of substituted agent, principal is bind the act of the agent, and in the case of agent, exactly, that is correct. This is a generally correct statement, Mahadev Bharadwaj. Substituted agent, principal is bound. Sub-agent, principal is not bound. Exception, where the sub-agent is expressly appointed as per the contract of agency or customer usage or emergency. And emergency to the extent of the emergency. The principal will become bound by the act of the sub-agent. So, the general rule is correct, subject to the exception. Remember, law is simple. There is a rule, then the rule has to be understood correctly. Every rule will have an exception. Exception has to be understood correctly. The question in the exam will be on the exception, not on the rule. They will be trying to test you whether you are aware of those few exceptions which are there for the general rule. Therefore, exception should be clearly understood. And the exception cannot prove the rule, cannot be the rule. So, this is an exception. Now, if the sub-agent is appointed by the agent without the permission of the principal, knowledge of the principal, acts done by the sub-agent are not binding on the principal. Substituted agent, it will be binding. Contemplated it, where is it? Where is it? I'm not able to even locate it. Contemplated it. Levi Matthew is asking, where was it used? Anyway, contemplated means to think. To contemplate is to think. If I'm contemplating means I'm thinking. Contemplated it means thought it. That's what I'm giving you the natural English meaning. Contextually, I'm not able to place it anywhere in my slide. So I'm unable to, if it is in the slide, I'm missing it. I'm sorry, Mr. Louis. So kindly, if you want further elaboration, ask. Contemplated means thought about it. I'm contemplating it. Are you going to come tomorrow for the program? I'm contemplating it. That means I'm thinking about it. I have not taken a decision. Which means when I do it, without contemplation, we won't do something. You decide to do something and then do it. When you're deciding, you're contemplating. Contemplation is, when I do something, there is understanding that I contemplated it. Boss, that's it. If you want more answer, you have to elaborate. What could be the example of these in 192? Sorry? Sir, you make the question more elaborate, Ayush. I can't keep giving like this. Make the question more elaborate. I've given you a lot of examples. If you still need a specific answer, ask a specific question. So 192 is basically about sub-agent. I've given you a lot of examples of sub-agent, substituted agent. Okay. Where a sub-agent is properly appointed, the principal is bound. Okay. I think I've explained it with a lot of examples. Sir, can we say that the substituted agent substitute the original appointed agent? Exactly. You correctly put it, Akash Neil, as usual. The substituted agent substitutes or replaces the originally appointed agent for the specific task for which he has been appointed. Beautifully put. In fact, some of Akash Neil's comments are very good here. I like them. Okay, absolutely. Okay. Good. In fact, I think there is there in the okay. See, so that substituted agent is appointed for a specific part of the business. To that extent, he is bound. I've explained, contemplated it. Yeah, what are you trying to do here? Don't waste time. And again, your question is not clear, sir. Exceptions of appointing agent, I don't understand. Exception of appointing sub-agent, I have explained clearly to you. Kindly don't. This time is really running out, Levi Matthew. You have to be more clearer than this. And don't ask questions like this. What do you want me to do? Exceptions of appointing sub-agent. What do you want me to do? You want me to tell you more about it? You want me to explain it again, which I will not? Whatever you want to do, please be clear about it. Okay, Levi? Kindly. Because simply we don't have the time to waste our time going back and again, be attentive, listen to what I'm saying, you will understand it. I think I have clearly explained it. Yeah, now you have confirmed that you have understood. And don't put the same question again and again. If you think by repeating it, you are reiterating it, you are actually wasting everybody's time. Put it once. If it is relevant, I will definitely answer it. You know me by now. Okay. Okay. Now, a question to just ensure that we have understood. ABC Limited sells its products through some agents, and it is not the custom in their business to sell the products on credit. Mr. Pinto, one of the agents, sold goods of ABC Limited at the time of sale on credit, and he sold the goods to Parul Private Limited on credit, which was insolvent at the time of such sale. Now, obviously, ABC Limited has lost here because when Parul becomes insolvent, ABC will not get its money. Who sold it? Our friend Pinto on credit. Normally, it's not the custom of the business to sell the products on credit. Suppose normally the company sells on credit, this fellow sold on credit, no problem. Normally, they are cash and carry business. Pinto gives it on credit, that too knowing that at the time they are insolvent. Or at least even if he is not aware that they are insolvent, he should have taken the reasonable care and skill. Suppose he is doing that business, will he sell? Because in the mandi, in the marketplace, we will know about Parul. So, knowing that they are potential insolvent or the whatever, or you have sold it to them on credit. So, the agent has not exercised or he has not, shall we say, done the duty of reasonable care and skill. Okay, he has not, he has not understood what the business is, and he has done it. So, the principal can sue the agent. The act done by Pinto is not binding on the principal. That is, that sale was Pinto's sale. Now, whatever loss arising, Pinto has to pay to ABC Limited. Loss, whatever loss. Okay, including interest, etc., etc. Okay, you have understood now. I am happy, Levi. Please. Under duty to execute mandate, if an agent fails to do so, and if principal had faced loss due to the negligence of agent must have to compensate the principal. What if an agent was supposed to insure the goods of the principal? Supposed to insure means as per the contract, you are supposed to insure. And on failure to insure them, the goods got destroyed due to fraud, and the principal got under an ordinance insurance policy. And then how much is the liability of the... Yeah, see, that is a good question. It's a very fair question and very correctly. That is, agent was supposed to insure the goods. Expressly told to insure the goods. The as does not insure it. Okay, is what you're saying, right? And on failure to insure them, the goods got destroyed. Okay, then the principal got some compensation under the ordinance. Okay, under some government ordinance or something. I don't know. Anyway, okay, how it will happen, I'm not able to understand. Chalo, the basic idea is simple. There is some kind of a mitigation of the loss caused to the principal because of the see, to answer your question clearly, the agent was told to insure. Because the agent did not insure it, the goods got destroyed. When the goods got destroyed by fire, the principal could not get the compensation from an insurance company. So the entire loss on account of fire loss will be the agent's liability because he should have insured it. But what happened is the principal got some compensation. To the extent of the compensation, you reduce it. Balance loss, the agent has to pay. That's all. It's a common sense now. Let us say that that asset was worth about 50 lakhs. It got, WDV of that asset in my books is about 45 lakhs. It got burnt. Agent has to pay me 45 lakhs. But in the meantime, government, maybe the fire was due to some other reason, government compensated me 15 lakhs. Then balance 30 lakhs, this fellow has to pay. Because this is the negligence of the agent, lack of not exercising duty of reasonable care. In fact, not even executing the mandate. He was told to insure and he has not insured, right? Okay. Beautiful. So you all understood the concepts. Now, rights of an agent. Just like the agent has duties, he has a right. He has right to retain out of sums received on principal's account. Means when he collects money on behalf of the principal, if any money is due to him for remuneration or amount, even dues from the principal, he can set off. He can retain. If as per the contract, he is entitled to remuneration, he is entitled to remuneration. Please remember, for appointing an agent, no need for consideration. That is, you simply appoint him, that's all. He accepts it, contract. One of the rare exceptions of no consideration, no contract. Agency for appointing an agent. But then, for appointing no consideration. But thereafter, you can have commission, etc., etc. Whatever commission you are agreeing to pay, that commission, because when I am appointing the agent, I am promising to pay commission. What is the agent doing at that point in time? Nothing. So, to that, appointing the agent, no need for consideration. Commercial agencies are there, by which the agent agrees to sell, targets are there. Then there is a consideration from the agent. But in some cases, you might ask your friend to do something on your behalf and give him a power of attorney. What consideration? He is doing it free. But still, you can appoint. The acts done by the friend are binding on you. You cannot say no consideration, no contract. There may not be consideration. Appointing an agent, no need for consideration. But if there is a consideration, if some remuneration is to be paid, the agent has the right to collect it. Agent has a lien. Do you remember lien? Bailment, we saw lien, right? Lien is the right to retain goods in the possession of the person. The goods should be in the possession of the agent. The agent should be owed some debt, which is undisputed. Undisputed debt should be owed to the agent. The agent is in possession of the principal's goods or property, only for movable goods. Lien works only for movable property, not for immovable property. You cannot exercise right of lien on immovable property. But movable property, yes, which is in your possession, you can retain the possession. Lien is not a right to sell. And you can inform the principal, please pay me my dues, take the goods. That's okay. This right to retain is right to retain money collected on behalf of the principal. Sums received. Whenever I receive money, before paying him, I can adjust whatever I'm due and balance I can do. This is right to retain the goods, movable property, not only goods, any movable property which is with me, belonging to him, I can retain as an agent. Right of indemnification for lawful acts. See, any act done by the agent within the scope of his authority, within the mandate, any loss incurred by the agent has to be indemnified by the principal. But then be careful. Agent should act within his authority. He should have been validly appointed. He should act within his authority, within the mandate, and he should have taken reasonable care and skill. If all these are there, then any genuine loss incurred by him shall be indemnified by the principal. Why I'm making all these conditions. No, law is not so simple. You have to be careful. Suppose he is not lawfully appointed, then principal is not bound. Suppose he has exceeded his authority, mandate, sorry. Suppose he has not exercised due care, sorry. So these are the exceptions. If everything you prove, you are entitled to compensation. Because you acted on behalf of the principal. Any loss incurred is the principal's loss. He has to compensate you. See, I have one of my lands, I wanted patta. So I appointed an agent to go to the sub-registrar office, and he has knowledge of that. So I said, go and do it. So then when I send him out, he tells me, sir, it will be the cost so much roughly. Chalo, no problem. Do whatever you think is necessary. Get me my patta. So he goes there and he pays certain things to people and all that. And then he comes back and says, yeah, I paid everything. I cannot refuse to pay now because he has acted within his mandate, got the patta, here it is. It's been something else. That is why, you have to be careful about what you do. Before appointing, you have to tell him very clearly, I cannot pay more than 40,000. That's the limit. Within that, do whatever you want. No problem. Now you are protected. Suppose he spends more than that, that is his problem. Okay. Right of indemnification or right, actually the word indemnification, you can even substitute it with the word indemnity or right to be indemnified. I have my own doubt about it. I think I've taken this from the institute material. I will change it to better English. Right to be, because somehow I am myself not comfortable with this. Right to be indemnified against. See, this is the correct English usage for the verb indemnify, to indemnify. Okay. I don't know. Maybe right of indemnification is also correct, but I would prefer to use this, more elegant usage. Okay. That's all. It is more about elegant usage. See, Hindi is spoken all over North India. Am I correct? But I am informed that the Hindi spoken in Lucknow, Awadh, is one of the best. I don't know if I'm wrong. Maybe I am. Maybe there are other places in the north where Hindi is spoken better, or, but then I'm told the Awadh, the region of Lucknow, Allahabad and all, the English spoken there is, Hindi spoken there is the purest Hindi, more, elegant Hindi, elegantly spoken, maybe with more Persian and, Arabic, Persian words and more, elegant English. So like that, this language is there, but you can use more elegantly. So I'm only trying to do that here. So right to be indemnified against lawful acts. Whenever you use the word indemnified against, for against. Okay. How I know? Because it's just natural. Once you speak the language, it comes naturally. It has to happen. But that can happen only if you keep learning. Otherwise, it won't happen. Okay. Thank you, Ayush. Okay. See, if it is so, Pooja, I'm very sorry. I don't want to say that the book is wrong, but normally right of lien is only with respect to movable goods. You cannot exercise the right of lien on immovable property. Okay. Right of possession is common, movable and removable, but the word lien in law is generally used for movable property. Okay. This is my humble view. Now I will not further argue on this point. If you want to go by what the book says as a student, please proceed. My understanding from general law is may be wrong, but my understanding is that it is movable goods only. Movable property only can be, the right of lien can be exercised only on movable property. You can retain possession of immovable property. You can say, I won't vacate, but that is not lien. Okay, my humble view. I may be wrong, subject to that. I am holding this view of my opinion. I will check up also. If that is so, then I will verify and I will get back. Go back to bailment now. If you remember bailment, there very clearly we said only movable can be exercised, right of lien can be exercised only in respect of movable property. Okay, quickly, I think I'm wasting too much time. With time running out, I'm being very bad. Okay. So I'm only elaborating. Okay. Right to retain all monies due to himself, all expenses, remuneration, everything for all that you can. This right can be exercised only on any sums received on account. Let us see. Maybe you are right. Maybe most of it is from the book only. So let us see. The agent is entitled for remuneration, etc., etc. But always remember, an agent who is guilty of misconduct is not entitled to remuneration in respect of that part of the business which he has not executed with care and diligence. This is something, if you are entitled only if you have done your duty right. Otherwise, you are not entitled. Right? Okay. Now, this is what I think she is talking about. In the absence of any contract to the contrary, an agent is entitled to retain goods, papers, and other property. I don't know whether movable or immovable. Even I have used it here. In my humble view, immovable cannot be. But since, as you say, you will have to follow the book. Huh? That is, welcome to India. Huh? So because it says in the book, you use it. But as a teacher and as a man who has some awareness of law, I am not able to understand how right of lien can be exercised on immovable property. Okay, no problem. But if you still feel that the institute better not take a risk, sir, I will write what is there in the institute of material, then please, I have no objection to it. I have absolutely no problem. Okay, but principle I am trying to explain. But if you still feel, no, sir, I will go by the book only, please don't take a risk. Okay, if this question comes in the exam, please write. But it won't come like that. See, in the exam, they won't ask you like that. They will give you an example, and then in which case it will be only goods. Believe me when I say that. It will be only goods. Only goods can be, lien can be exercised only on goods or mobile property. Okay. See, the lien is nothing. The word lien is similar to the bailie's lien. The bailie has a lien, right? The pawnee has a lien, right? The same thing. The right to retain the property of the other person until the dues are settled. That's all. So understand the principle. If you want to include immovable property, enjoy. Okay, see, as you might by now know, I've got about 28 years of experience in teaching. I'm giving my view, but if you honestly feel, no, sir, we will go by the institute, please. But that is always better. Okay. The agent should be lawfully entitled to receive the property over which the lien is to be exercised should belong to the principal, and it should have been received by the agent in his capacity and during the course of his ordinary duties. The agent has only a particular lien, only for the amount due to him qua agent. As an agent, he cannot exercise lien on other dues from the principal. Please understand, right of lien cannot be exercised for other dues, only for amount due to him as an agent, or by way of commission, or whatever money disbursed or services rendered in the proper execution of the business of agency. Only for that he can retain. Any other amount is due, no lien. Okay. The agent's right to lien is lost in the following cases. When the possession of the property is lost, possession is very important condition for lien. If you are not having possession, when the agent waives his right, waiver may arise out of agreement express or implied. The agent's lien is subject to contract to the contrary. All this is similar to bailment. The bailee has a lien, but that is subject to the contract to the contrary. If the contract very specifically says, irrespective of amounts due, the goods have to be, or the property has to be delivered. Okay. Agent's liability to third parties. I have analyzed this section in this way so that we can discuss it easier. There are three sections, 222, 223, 224. As far as agency is concerned, don't bother to remember section numbers and all that. No need. Remember the principles involved, it is more than enough. Now, agent's liability to third parties. Please understand, we are not talking about principal's liability to third party, where the agent has been validly appointed, etc., and he has done it in the course of executing his mandate. Then principal is only bound, agent is not bound. But now we are trying to understand when the agent will become liable to third parties. So first point, the acts done by the agent are lawful acts done in the exercise of his authority. Now, the principal is bound to indemnify the agent against all consequences of such acts. So the principal cannot say, I am not liable, you pay. Anything done in the exercise of his authority, in the course of the agency, principal is bound. Principal has to pay. Acts done in good faith by agent on the instruction of principal. In good faith. Not part of the mandate. But I did it in good faith. Because I asked you and you said, no, go ahead. Please, take it. And I did it. Now you can't come back and say, no, where is it in the contract, etc. Because I did it in good faith. So the principal is bound to indemnify against any loss or damage. Acts done. In fact, in a short while, possibly in General Clauses Act, we'll see in good faith. In good faith means without any bad intention. For your interest, I did it. I didn't do it for myself. For you, I did it. Okay, like that. See. So, simple ma. You are sitting in US, Los Angeles. I am sitting in Chennai. You got a property in Chennai. You want to sell that property. You tell me, Mr. Srikanth, you sell that property for me. And I do something. Then I ask you, hey, I'm going to put an advertisement in nobroker.com. Is that okay for you? Yeah, go ahead. Do whatever is to be done. So I put an advertisement in brokers.com. Nothing happens. Property is not sold. Later on, an inquiry comes from an absolute stranger, third party, who has not seen nobroker.com. Nobroker.com is useless, let me assure you. So nobroker.com, it comes directly through contacts. I'm only doing it for you. But it is not, that inquiry has not come through nobrokers.com. It has come directly. I introduce both of you. You like the deal. We go ahead, sell. You can, even if you want to pay me some commission also, I'm doing it friendly way. It is no commission involved. But I tell you, hey, that nobroker.com, I gave an advertisement now. I spent about 6,000 rupees. Can you please reimburse me? Huh? Why you gave? Nothing happened. Why? Because of that, nothing happened, Uncle Ji. No. Okay. Because why I did it? In good faith. On your instruction only I did it. Chalo, it was not useful, it was useless. But when I have incurred it in good faith as your agent, on your instruction, you are bound to indemnify me as an agent against the loss. I hope you have understood with this example. But so the circumstances of the case has to be seen. Okay, which is why, whenever you are acting on behalf of a client or an employer, especially an employer, if you are employed in a company, don't do anything unless you have authorization. On your own initiative, don't do anything unless you have an authorization from your superior or from the company very clearly giving you a mandate to do it. Because as an employee of a company, you are an agent. Never forget that. Employee is an agent. Acts done by an employee are binding on the employer. But if the employee acts beyond his brief, employee is liable. So if you want to do something which is beyond your job description, beyond your paycheck, please get it authorized in writing, by email, whatever. This is a general humble suggestion to you as a teacher and a practicing chartered accountant with prudence in my mind, I'm telling you. Then tomorrow, if you don't have it in writing, you are gone. Okay, any loss incurred, you have to bear. Agent is employed by principal to do unlawful act. See, where the principal employs the agent to do an unlawful act, employer is not liable to the agent, either upon an express or implied promise to indemnify him against the consequences of that act. I know it sounds silly because the principal only told him to do, but because it is an unlawful act, it is void. See, if you permit the agent to claim, then you are actually condoning that unlawful act. Therefore, 224 says anything where he is employed to do an unlawful act, any expense incurred by him, it cannot be indemnified. Got it? Reverse it. Where the agent does anything which is beyond his authority, without the knowledge or instruction of the principal, okay, and it's not done in good faith, or it is not done in good faith. Even if it is done in good faith, if it is done without the knowledge or consent of the principal, then the principal is not bound, agent is bound to the third parties. Only one thing, If it is in good faith and without the instruction of the principal, but in good faith, then the principal can ratify only. That is possible, ratification. But if the principal does not ratify, the agent is liable to third parties. This is just the reversal of these three sections. 222, reverse it. Any act done by him, even a lawful act done beyond the exercise of his duty, of his authority, principal is not bound. At least he has to show it was in good faith and that he was acting on the instruction of the principal. Then there is a chance. If you are not able to show that, then the agent is bound and liable to third parties. Where the principal has been negligent, then if an injury is caused to the agent, the principal must make compensation. So the principal also owes to his agent the duty of care not to expose him to unreasonable risks. See, this is where the law of agency will extend to contracts also. Contractors. You may have a contractor. Now, when you ask a contractor to do something, now you are the principal. He is the agent. On your behalf, he is doing it. Agreed? Now, you have to provide safety. If safety is not provided and there is a loss, which is why either what you should do now, if you are employed in a large company, you are responsible for construction contracts, clearly put a clause in that contract. Clearly, the contractor is liable for all losses and injuries caused to his employees, etc. Exclude your liability totally from that. In writing, let him sign it and take it. Contract is awarded to you subject to this. Tomorrow, if any employee, any of your workmen is injured, of course, we will pay the ESI. That is as per the law, I have to pay the ESI. I will pay for all those donkeys, I will pay the ESI. Go to ESI and claim. Or you pay yourself. I am not liable. Put it clearly in the contract. So that he cannot come back tomorrow and say, it is your fault. You should have done like that. Okay. So I'm only giving you some practical examples to help you understand. One more thing. Tomorrow as a chartered accountant, you would definitely have to understand this. Why are you studying all this to write the exam, get marks and go? No, sir. Every one of these provisions, every one of these principles will become important to you in your career as a chartered accountant, whether in practice or in service. More so if you are going to get into employment. No, absolutely. See, this immovable, even I am having a doubt, Puja. Let us see. I'll check up and get back to you. But as of now, I'm clear. No immovable. Okay. Agent's liability to third party continued. Where the agent has acted within the scope of the agent's act, no problem. All acts are binding. He has gone beyond his authority, gone. So, where the agent exceeds authority, but those matters where the agent has exceeded authority can be separated, other matters which are within his authority. In some cases, the agent has exceeded his authority. In some cases, he has not. Then, to the extent that he has exceeded, not liable. But to the extent that he has not exceeded, the principal is liable, provided it can be separated. This is called blue pencil rule. You may have studied it in Contract Act. It is called blue pencil rule. Suppose a contract has both legal and illegal aspects. Suppose I can segregate the legal from the illegal clearly by drawing a line with a blue pencil. I can clearly segregate. Then, to the extent it is legal, the contract is valid. This is the general principle of contract. So, where the agent exceeds his authority, and there are some acts which are done where he has not exceeded, others where he has exceeded, and if I can separate them by a blue pencil line, to the extent that he has not exceeded his authority, then the principal is liable. But where he has exceeded, the principal is not liable. But if it is so intricately mixed that it cannot be separated, then the principal is not bound by the agent's acts. So complicatedly, see, the fellow went and did all sorts of nonsense and exceeded authority right, left and center. And now I am unable to segregate and say, Ayya, I told you to do only this. Who told you to do all these things? I never. So please don't even bother. Whatever liability to the third party, now agent becomes liable. Very interesting, if I may say so. This 222 to 228, very interesting. Okay. Practical. Because all disputes will come only here. Am I correct? Because ultimately, what is the principal going to say? I am not liable. So all disputes will come only here. Dispute will come only here. Therefore, you have to be very clear about this part. Any notice given to or information obtained by the agent, given or obtained in the course of business transacted by him for the principal, shall, as between the principal and third parties, have the same legal consequences as if it had been given to or obtained by the principal. Simple. There is an agent. I have informed the whole world that he is my agent. You want to send a legal notice to me. You don't know where I am, but you know where my agent is. Send the notice to the agent. He has validly received it. Then it is as if the notice has been given to me. That's the same legal consequences. I'll give a very simple example. You will appreciate it. Whenever I appear on behalf of a client for income tax, in those days, nowadays it's all email, it goes to him directly. In those days, they used to give me a power of attorney. Even though I have to have a power of attorney to even appear faceless or online. Okay. I take a power of, see, when I'm submitting it online, I don't sign. The client signs and it is up. But when I have to represent, when I have to talk on his behalf in a virtual meeting or whatever, specifically I take a power of attorney and I make it. Otherwise, I don't sign. Why should I? Because it's all uploading. So he signs and we upload it. In those days, I used to sign those documents. Suppose I'm submitting details, I will sign and sign. Okay. Now, when I'm representing a client to the income tax department, I'm an agent, he's the principal for specific representation. Okay. And I'm bound by the same duties of an agent. Right. Now, the income tax department, once they get the power of attorney, now onwards, they need not give notice to him. It is enough if they give notice to me because I am acting as his agent. He has given me the power of attorney. Then information is given to me. It is binding on him. Okay. Which is why, around the end of the assessment, there may be some obvious mistakes in the case where even the client will be aware, we will agree. But I will never do it without his knowledge. I will send a mail to him or call him for a discussion, and in writing, I will obtain I will tell him this, we are going to accept this, we are going to accept this. The tax involved will be so much. Penalty may be there, but I will do my best to get the penalty drop, provided you pay the tax. All that is your understanding. I'll put it in writing, confirm it. Please proceed. I get a mail back from him saying, please proceed. Only then I will proceed. Otherwise, I will accept it. I may. But though, having been appointed on his behalf, I can do anything and everything. Okay. For your information. This is prudence as a chartered accountant. Tomorrow I can always say, as your auditor, I did it and you gave me the mandate. My mandate includes this. Now, better not to. Better not to. Okay. I'm giving you a lot of practical advice. Please don't take it otherwise. Key facet per alium, facet per se. Key facet per alium, facet per se. One who does through another does it himself. Act of agent is the act of the principal. So the agent cannot personally enforce contracts entered into by him on behalf of his principal, nor is he personally bound by them. Anything he does only on behalf of the principal. He can neither sue nor be sued on the contracts. Right? See, he can initiate a suit on behalf of the principal. Please understand. In his own name, he cannot file a suit against a third party. Because the contract is between the principal and the third party. Agent is only in between. He is not a party to that contract. That is why he has no privity of contract. You can see that agent's liability to third party is a pretty lengthy area, no? Right? When agent can enforce and is personally bound by contracts, where the contract is made by the agent for sale or purchase of goods for a merchant resident abroad or a foreign principal. Why? Where there's a foreign principal, I may not be able to file a suit against him in his country, but I can file a suit against the agent in India. And the agent can also file a suit where the agent does not disclose the name of his principal. This is called undisclosed principle. See, you inform me that you are acting as an agent in that. But you don't tell me who is your principal for valid reasons, because the principal himself wants to be anonymous. Not my problem. But I entered into the contract with you as an agent, but I don't know who the principal is. Then I can file a suit against the agent. agent can also file a suit against in his own name, because the principal's name cannot be disclosed, right? Nothing wrong in having undisclosed principal. It happens in auctions a lot. In public auctions, a man will come and bid. Obviously, he is not the buyer. The buyer is undisclosed. But this guy becomes the agent. And that agent bidding is bound. Principal is also bound for the undisclosed. I know it sounds a little silly. How will the other party know? Fine. That is where the agent will be. When you are not disclosing your principal, I can file a suit against you. If you want to include him, now you bring him in. Now you bring him in. It's up to you to now disclose him in the court case. There you include him as a co-respondent. That is your thing. But you having not disclosed, I will file only against you. Where there's a non-existent or incompetent principal. Difference between undisclosed and non-existent, obvious. Undisclosed principal is existing, but is not disclosed. Non-existent, there is no principal at all. Fellow says, I'm acting on behalf. Sometimes clients come to me, this is not an example for agency, just to help you understand. Sometimes clients come to me, they won't reveal that who they are, what they are. They'll just come for first consultation. I say, pay my consulting fee, then come and sit. They come and sit. Then, Mr. Srikanth, one of my friends is having a property. What one of your friends? You are having a property. You want to talk about it, but you don't want to tell it is you. It's okay. Non-existent. One of my friends is having a property. He is proposing to sell it. Suppose he sells it, they'll keep asking questions. Somewhere they'll get caught. They will say something that says, you know what I'm planning to do? What are you saying I'm planning to do? I thought this was your friend's property. No, my friend. See, I like it so much when people tell lies because it's so easy to catch them out. Okay. Anyway, and as a future chartered accountant, always be alert for people telling lies. Even white lies, these good lies are there, but be careful. Okay. Now, but here it's a non-existent principal. Fellow is not there. You are saying I'm an agent. Who is your principal? Nobody. Or incompetent principal. The principal is a minor, or a principal is a person of unsound mind. Incompetent. Okay. So in those cases, can I sue a non-existent principal? No. Can I sue a minor? No. Because minor is not bound. But you have entered into the contract on his behalf. Then agent is liable. Please understand, principal has to be competent. We already saw this. Agent can be a minor. But in which case he cannot be sued ever. Because minor cannot be sued. Principal can never be a minor. And if you are acting on behalf of a minor, then the agent is personally liable. But suppose the other party knows that the principal is a minor, then the agent is not personally liable. Please understand, this will not make the contract valid. I hope I'm making myself extremely clear. You know that the principal is a minor. You are entering into the contract with his agent. Now, agent is not liable because you know that the other party is a minor. The contract is void ab initio. Please be careful about the principles of law involved. This will not make the contract with that minor valid. But what will happen is the agent is not liable. But if the agent has not told that his principal is a minor and enters into the contract, then the agent is personally liable to the third party. Undisclosed principle is nothing wrong in that. There is nothing wrong or illegal about it. Indeed, it happens in commercial thing because many cases the principal may not want to be there. But it's not that the principal is trying to cheat anybody. He doesn't want his name. For example, a leading cine actor, politician, they may not want to know that they are involved. So they will use an agent, Benami, who will come and do all these things. So this may, because the minute they know some cine actor is doing it or politician is doing it, immediately publicity will be there. So they don't want it. That is why they're not disclosing. I mean, I'm not trying to say that's right. I'm saying I can understand that. The agent enters into a contract with the third person, disclosing that he acts as an agent, but does not disclose who is the principal. So he says, I am an agent. I'm not, this is not me, but principal I cannot disclose. So the other party knows that there is a principal competent to contract, but his name will not be known. An agent enters into a contract with the third person, not disclosing that he acts as an agent. Two possibilities are there. Right? In the case of undisclosed principal, the third party can file a suit against the agent. Okay? If the agent makes up a contract with a person who neither knows nor has reason to suspect that he is an agent, his principal may require the performance of the contract from the other person. Right? Okay. The other contracting party may enforce the contract against the principal. Okay. If the principal discloses himself before the contract is completed, the other contracting party may refuse to fulfill the contract if he can show that he would not have entered into the contract if he had known who was the principal of the contract or that the agent was not a principal. Please understand, the agent has not disclosed that he is an agent. He has entered into the contract. As between the agent and principal, there is a clarity that principal is liable. Then the principal can also enforce, contracting party can also enforce. But if the principal discloses himself before the contract is completed, then the third party can refuse. Because if I had known it is that fellow, I would not have entered into the contract. It's a very subtle area here. I know it sounds a little confusing, but point is the contract is completed without knowledge of agency. But the principal is very much there and is taking responsibility. Then, but if the principal does not take responsibility, straight away you go here. Okay? The third party, the agent will now become liable to third party, which means when you are dealing with the undisclosed principal, it's a dangerous area. Okay. See, suppose there is an undisclosed principal, third party wants to sue the principal refuses. Okay. There is no contract like that, agency. Then the agent will become personally bound. Then the agent can sue the principal. Performance of contract with agent supposed to be principal. See, in cases of contracts with agent where the principal is undisclosed, the other party neither knows or has reasonable grounds to suspect he is an agent. Now the principal, if he requires the performance of the contract, can only obtain such performance subject to the rights and obligations subsisting between the agents and the other party. An illustration would help you to understand. A who owes 500 rupees to B sells 1,000 rupees worth of rice to B. Okay, A owes 500 to B. Sells 1,000 rupees worth of rice to B. A is acting as agent for C in the transaction. But B has no knowledge or reasonable ground to suspect. Now, C cannot compel B to take the rice without allowing him to set off A's debt. Now, because undisclosed principal, B does not know that C is the party. He does not know, but C can enforce because without knowledge, going by this rule, okay, he has not disclosed that he is an agent. But when this has happened in the case of undisclosed principal, the principal's right is subject to the relationship, rights and obligations. See, so already as between A and B, there is a 500 rupee debt. Now B can set up that debt and pay. So even though C is the principal, C is entitled to 1,000, his right will be subject to the rights and obligations subsisting between the agent and the other party. So here the other party is B, the agent is A, C is the undisclosed principal. C can claim only 500. Got it? Also, now you will ask me another valid question, sir. How about the other 500? That C has to collect from A, between A and C. B can set off and pay. C cannot say, I am the principal, I was not disclosed. The goods sold us 1,000 rupees, you pay me 1,000 rupees. He say, come on, when did you tell me that you are the principal? I honestly believe this guy is the principal. And I entered into contract, subject to that 500 adjustment. So your right is subject to his right. His right is only 500, take it. You want the balance 500, take it from him. Okay. I mean, this is basically common sense. You don't have to be extremely brilliant to understand common sense. Okay. (226 to 228) are there in the module. I think so. Are principals liable to third parties there in module? I think so. To my knowledge, it is there. Okay. Where an agent is personally liable, a person dealing with him may hold either him or his principal or both of them liable. Okay. See, possibly what may be a problem is I am not giving it in the way it is given in the material. Is that a confusion? I'm slightly changing it a little bit. Okay, moving on. Some of it is actually, honestly saying, some of it is not important. Much of it is not important. You just go through it once, it is enough. Okay. When a person who has made a contract with an agent induces the agent to act upon the belief that the principal only will be held liable, or induces the principal to act on the belief that the agent only will be held liable, he cannot afterwards hold the liable or principal respectively. That is, the other party has told very clearly, I will not sue you, I will sue only the agent. Or he has told the agent very clearly that I will only sue the principal, I will not sue you. Either way, okay, he cannot hold the other party liable because he has told what he will do. Pretended agent is a person who represents himself to be an agent of another when in fact he has no authority. He is not my agent at all. He is pretending to be my agent. I am not bound. Okay. Only if the principal ratifies, the agent is not personally liable. But if the principal does not ratify, if the alleged principal refuses to ratify, the agent is personally liable for compensating for any loss or damage incurred. So pretended agent is not an agent at all. But you know what? The why 235 has this concept at all. There could be a chance that a pretended agent would do something that is beneficial to the principal. So this section gives the right to the principal to ratify. If the principal ratifies, good. Principal is bound. The agent is not liable. But if the alleged principal refuses to ratify, then agent. Okay. Where a person falsely contracting as an agent is not entitled to perform. See, falsely, then you cannot enforce performance on the other person. Okay. Again, misrepresentation. Okay. Acting in the course of business for the principal, if the agent makes any misrepresentation, the agent is misrepresenting or committing fraud. It will have the same effect on agreements made by such agents as if such misrepresentations, frauds had been made or committed by the principal. So, on my behalf, my agent is misrepresenting or committing a fraud. Now, if I have done it, what is the consequence? The contract is voidable at the option of the other party. Same principle will apply. Qui facit per alium, facit per se. If he does misrepresentation, principal, contract is voidable. But if it is beyond authority, then principal is not bound and the agent is bound. Okay. But if he is acting within the authority and he is misrepresenting or committing fraud, then I am liable, the contract is voidable. But he is acting beyond his authority, then not bound. I think the basic principle involved here is simple. Okay. Within authority, beyond authority. Ratification. So agency can be terminated by revocation. Okay. Just principle saying that is all, no more agent. Simple. Now revoking is possible only with respect to acts to be done. Any act which has already been done, any act authority already exercised, binding. You cannot retrospectively revoke an agency. Okay. Now we come to something called irrevocable agency. Now, irrevocable agency, right? There's nothing called an irrevocable agency. All agents, when I appoint a person as an agent, I can always revoke. But in one circumstance, I cannot revoke. With respect to past acts, authority exercised, I cannot revoke now. That is always there. In addition to that, where the agent has an interest in the property which forms the subject matter of the agency, the agent may have an interest in the property which forms the subject matter of the agency, then such agency cannot be terminated to the prejudice of such interest in the absence of a contract to the contrary. Finally, I'll give an example. Let's take this example. I'll give one more example. A owes a debt to B. So A owes money to B. Now A appoints B as his agent to collect the money due to A. So A is already owed money in the market. He owes money to B. Now A tells B, Baba, I am very busy. I am not able to concentrate on my existing activity. 5 crores is due to me. I have to pay you 3 crore. Here I will assign all the debts to you. You be my agent. Hereby I appoint you as my agent to collect. Collect all the monies. Whatever is due to you, pay and give me the balance. Okay. Now, A cannot terminate the agency prejudicial to the interest of B, nor can it be terminated by his insanity or death. B will continue to be entitled to collect the debts, pay himself. Anything left over, he has to pay to the estate in case of death, or the ward in case of guardian in case of insanity. But if at all A wants to revoke it, what he should do? Call B, what is the amount due, what is the interest? Take it, go. Now I will take care. And that is, he cannot do it to the prejudice of the interest of B. When B is owed 3 crores with interest, he cannot revoke it till the 3 crores with interest is paid. This is one example. Another example is even simpler. See, Mr. A is having a huge plot of land. Okay, in Chennai, we call it grounds. Maybe, let us say about, he has got a land of about 50 cents. Huge land, nice land, 50 cents he's got. Now, he wants to develop it. So, he goes to a builder and he tells the builder, today's market value is so much, right? Take it, give me the money. So, the builder says, sir, 50 cents land, okay. Then it's okay, sir, I will give you 45 crores. Bargain, fine, 45 crores. Here, take it. Now, he has taken 45 crores. Then, at the time of giving 45 crores, he has given possession of the property and he has also signed a power of attorney. Power of attorney to the developer, by which the developer can develop the property, sell the flats, including the undivided share of land belonging to the owner. The undivided share of land can also be sold. Now, normally the owner of the land only has to sign the sale deed, right? But once the power of attorney is given, the power agent can sign the deed. So the ultimate flat owner will get the UDS through the developer. This is a standard business practice in construction industry. What I am trying to tell you here is that our owner of this 50 cent, he took 45 crores, right? Now, he is given a power of attorney. Can he now revoke it? No. It is irrevocable. Why? Because he has taken 45 crore, right? Now, suppose he wants to terminate it, what he should do? He should return that 45 crore. In the meantime, that builder might have spent some money in developing the property. Everything he has to repay to him. And then maybe he can revoke it and go to somebody else. Otherwise, he cannot revoke it. It's a very subtle legal point. That is why many people will say irrevocable agency. It is not irrevocable. If you pay him, it is revocable. That is, it is not as if you cannot revoke it. In fact, in one case I've had, the builder was cheating the client. So what we did was, we went for an arbitration. We got a judgment. We said, see, what is your problem now? You gave me 20 crore. Here, take it. You spent some money. Tell me. We negotiated. We said, okay, chalo, 20 crore, another 2 crore, take it. You are compensated. Give back the power of attorney. I will go to some other developer who will give me a better deal. Who may give me a better deal. Nothing wrong. An agency can be revoked, provided there should not be any prejudice to the agent. Where the agent has got some interest in the property, it amounts to agency coupled with interest. Such an agency cannot be terminated to the prejudice of such interest. That is why the word irrevocable agency is generally not a good term. Okay, but then today in custom and usage, I find so many power of attorney, I'll find irrevocable agency. But there is not, merely because the document says it is irrevocable, it is not irrevocable. I can always pay back the money and compensate him and take it back. Huge properties, sometimes it happens. See, my dear friends, what you are reading is the Simple Contract Act. What I have experienced is the real Contract Act in life. I have seen so many disputes, so many issues happening. Bhupendra borrowed a sum of rupees 3 lakhs from Atul. Bhupendra appointed Atul as his agent to sell his land and authorized him to appropriate the amount of loan out of the sale proceeds. Afterwards, Bhupendra revoked. No, Bhupendra cannot revoke it because he has already borrowed 3 lakhs. Now, when can Bhupendra, so the revocation of the said agency by this Bhupendra is not lawful. Don't say unlawful, say it is not lawful. But subject to the point, Bhupendra can revoke provided he repays 3 lakhs. together with interest. Okay. And any reasonable expenses that Atulji might have spent in the meantime to sell that property. Any reasonable expenses have to be paid. So when there's a revocation, then compensation has to be paid. Okay. There should be some notice has to be given for revocation, reasonable notice. Okay. And sometimes revocation and renunciation may be expressed or implied. Okay. It may be expressed, it may be implied. I'm just skipping this because it's not very important. Agency ends on the principal being adjudicated insolvent. Okay. Where an agent has been appointed for a fixed term, the expiry of the term puts an end to the agency. Okay. Whether the purpose has been attained or not. Okay. We already seen. I'm not going to waste your time. When the termination of agent's authority takes effect as to the agent and as to principal, third party, the termination of the authority of an agent does not, as regards the agent, take effect before it becomes known to him. So far as regards third person, before it becomes known to them. See, I have revoked the agency. Agent is aware, the third party is not aware. Okay. So with respect to the agent is out. What he does is not binding on me. But with respect to the third party, I am bound because he is not aware that the agency has been revoked. See, A at Chennai by letter directs B to sell for him some cotton lying in a warehouse in Mumbai. Afterwards, by letter, he revokes his authority and directs B to send the cotton to Chennai. B, after receiving the second letter, enters into a contract with C, who knows that he is the agent, but that he doesn't know that the agency has been revoked. Now C pays the money to B, which B absconds. Now C's payment is good as against A, because when C made the payment to B, he had no notice that B was not the agent of A. Right? So that is why C's payment. So tomorrow A cannot go and say, you have paid to B, B was not my agent, I revoked. Because the knowledge of the revocation was not there with A. Now, B, he is aware that the agency is revoked. He should not have collected the money. It's a fraud. To that extent, A can file a suit against B. Okay? But with regard to C, no right. After making the payment, C is free. Goods are free in good faith yesterday. Actually, this is a good example of in good faith also. I don't have noticed that you are not my agent. I honestly acted in good faith. I paid the money to him, honestly believing that he is your agent. I have acted in good faith. Okay, this is a good example of good faith. Okay, I'm just slightly, going a little faster because I just don't want to waste your time with non-important topics. Okay, that's why I went a little fast. So, good. You might also notice that I am not going by the section order. I am going by the logical order. So, we have completed agency. Okay. B became insane, then it is risky for Mr. A if he is not able to revoke the agency. If B became insane, where? If B became insane, then it is risky for Mr. A. I'm not able to understand your question. See, who is B, who is A? Let me understand. Principal is insane. Principal is insane. The agent is acting on behalf of an insane principal. The agent is acting on behalf of an insane principal. Agreed. Then the contract is not, it's void. Contract is void. Okay, then the agent is personally liable. That's all. Whatever you want to take out of it, take it. If B became insane, okay, is this termination are we talking about? Yeah, see, if the principal becomes insane, to the extent of acts done before his insanity, the principal is bound. After insanity, the agent is bound. Okay, this is what I would give you. Bhupendra cannot invoke, correct? Sir, if we transfer immovable property, we will give title to buyer. Then why we need to give power of attorney? No. See, Raghavan, you have to understand. Don't ask overly simplistic questions. See, when a developer is developing a property, no, the land cannot be transferred to the developer. Otherwise, you have to pay a huge stamp duty. You understand? Suppose the developer has to buy that property and he has to again sell it to each flat owner. The stamp duty involved will be very high, and the cost of the transaction ultimately the buyer has to pay. So, what we normally do is the land will be taken, the possession will be taken by the developer, and the owner of the land will give a power of attorney. At that point in time, the builder may give the entire amount to the builder. In fact, under the Transfer of Property Acts, if you relate it to capital gains, this example is one where there's a deemed sale under the Transfer of Property Act. In addition to that, the developer becomes the agent of the owner to the extent of giving title to the ultimate buyers. So the ultimate buyers who buy the land from the developer through the power of attorney get good title. Is the point. In the meantime, because the document is a power of attorney, the original owner cannot revoke it because he has taken the money and now it has become an agency coupled with interest. Please understand the use ultimate buyer. So in the interest of the ultimate buyer, we don't do this. And it is accepted. The power of attorney has to be registered. That's all. For that, there is a stamp duty registration fee, which is reasonable. We pay that, we register it. In fact, in that power of attorney, it won't be mentioned irrevocable because the minute you say irrevocable, no, that becomes a document registrable as a sale deed. It's a little too complicated. So we can't be very simplistic about it. Point is, once the agent has paid money to the principal, he has got an interest in that property, the agency cannot be revoked. Got it? That is the principle you have to understand. Remuneration of sub-agent paid by principal or substituted agent. Agent, you mean. Remuneration of sub-agent, if validly appointed expressly, okay, principal. But if not, without the knowledge or consent and all, it's not expressed, then agent only has to pay. Payment of agent cannot be done on grounds of insanity. If agent, then principal is at risk. If termination cannot be done on grounds of insanity, agent, KF agent, then principal is at risk. Principal. Oh, I'm not able to understand your question. Sorry. My inability, not yours. You are right, but I am not able to understand your question. Make it a little more articulate. Wonderful. Friends, we have come to some sort of a midpoint in our class. The time now is something like, I will share both these presentations to you by today, both the presentations in terms of Indian Contract Act. Now, we have to move on to what is known as the General Clauses Act. The time now is exactly 8:25. I'm going to give a small break for about 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10. Okay? Come back after the break, refreshed. You depend so much on the institute material. I love you for that. So you read the material totally. And if any questions are there, please raise it. Okay? And I will answer it in the next class also. Okay? So come fully prepared because time is not there. It's a very, very lengthy and theoretical part. Not much complication. Only words have to be explained. Concept have to be explained. So if you have any questions, come fully prepared. Read it fully. Okay, and come. Only General Clauses Act. That's not very difficult. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the next class. I will explain it to you. Okay, are you clear? Small break. Ashok, small break. Welcome back from your well-deserved break. So we have completed agency. Ayush, you have a question that I'm not able to understand. Now you give me an example. Let us see that. If Mr. A owes an amount to B and given authority to Mr. B as agent of Mr. A to sell A's land and appropriate amount towards use, Mr. B goes insane. Okay. Then Mr. A has a risk that Mr. B can sell Mr. A. Mr. A owes an amount to Mr. B and given an authority to Mr. B as agent of A to sell Mr. A's land and appropriate amount. Now this becomes an irrevocable agency. Again, don't say irrevocable agency. It is an agency coupled with interest, where B has acquired B has an interest in the immovable property of A. Now A has made him an agent. He cannot revoke it to the prejudice of B. That's all. Okay. Now B goes insane. B goes insane. The agent goes insane. Okay. Cherry. Then Mr. A has a risk that Mr. B can sell Mr. A. No. At below or fair market value, that insane person can do anything. See. It's a nice question you are asking. Now I am able to understand. Once B becomes insane, who will decide that B is insane? The court will decide that B is insane. You understand? That is, insanity is not some because somebody is going around doing nonsense and all, he is not insane. The court has to decide. Medical evidence has to be produced in the court. Court has to pass an order. There is a law. Lunacy. Law of lunacy is there. Under that law, there is a court, actually, lunacy court. In that court, they will decide. Only when that order of the court is passed, B will be declared to be insane. In the meantime, A can go and do 100 things. A can implead himself as a respondent, say that I owe money to B. Because of that only he has, I gave him the power of attorney. Now you are saying he is insane. Kindly provide for my case. I will pay the money. Revoke the agency. So many things can be done. There are legal remedies available to A in plenty. Okay, don't worry. After once B becomes insane, but even though B has become insane, the amount due to him is still due. Am I correct? To that extent, A cannot revoke without to the prejudice of B. So what will happen? Practically, B cannot do anything, Baba. B will not do anything. B's guardian will be appointed. Now that B's guardian will be, all the contracts of B will become guardian's contracts. Now you have to go to the guardian and say, look here, he has become insane. What are you going to do? I mean, all this, it's a big complicated situation. So that's why I said, never use the word, it is not that I cannot revoke it, but again and again, I should note it. The amount due to B is still due. So long as that amount is due, A cannot revoke. You pay it, revoke and come. That's all. B has become insane, right? In the meantime, you pay the amount. Without paying the amount, you cannot revoke it only because B has become insane. Are you able to understand the point? Sir, law is very interesting. Okay? And insane person, see, who decides insane? The court only will decide till system. Now, what could happen is, see, this is where the complication will come. B has become insane. In the meantime, he has sold the property like a mad fellow. Now you can go to the court and you can say, I gave it to him in good faith, honestly believing he will make the best deal. Now I am now wanting the court to declare him to be insane at the time when he made that contract. Then you can revoke that contract entered into by him. And even then, finally, bottom line, you pay him the money due and then only you can revoke the agency. Without paying the money due, you cannot revoke the agency. Got it? That is why don't understand it that a contract coupled with interest cannot be revoked. So that is why the word irrevocable, my guru will never allow it to be used. He will never say, he will say, don't use the word irrevocable agency. It can be revoked, provided you settle him. You cannot revoke it to his prejudice or to the... See, if he becomes insane, still, the guardian will be there, yeah. His estate will be there. That will be liable and that can be claimed. That can also claim. So don't think insanity doesn't end. It only makes him incompetent. That's all. And post-insanity, if he signs any contract, it is invalid. It is void. Knowing that the agent is insane, if somebody is buying the land from him, that contract is not valid, not binding on the principal. That I can do. Wonderful. Thank you for that nice question. Sorry if I have been a little overboard in explaining it to you, but then. So, see, what is the problem with students? Sometimes you tend to oversimplify or complicate. So, law is common sense in it. Understand the situation. Apply common sense first. Then apply the principle of law. Automatically, you will see, especially the older British laws are based on common sense. Unlike the Companies Act, which was drafted by people who don't even know English, the Contract Act and Negotiable Instruments Act and all were drafted by really great people like Macaulay, Mansfield. So they knew what they were doing, and they were observing what was happening in commercial world, and they were only putting it into decent words so that they can become law. That's all. What was practiced. That's why, when you studied the sources of law in BCom or somewhere else, you studied law mercatoria. That's what merchants' law. Law, which was the practices that merchants were doing, became the law. Okay? And these are common sense now. Unlike chartered accountants and students of CA and other people who are all not having common sense, a good businessman has common sense. In fact, as an auditor, I trust the businessman. I trust the businessman's business sense. I cannot presume that as a chartered accountant, I can double guess a smart businessman. What I can do is ensure that what he is doing is within the financially viable framework. And if he's making obvious mistakes, I can show him financially. But commercially, believe me, I can't go near him because he is the authority there. I cannot advise him on how to run his business. But I can tell him, boss, if you keep on giving credit without collecting, you will end up in financial problem. That much I can tell him. But as far as commercial deals are concerned, believe me, the businessman has more common sense than you and me. Okay? Good. Moving on. And definitely more common sense than the finance minister. Businessmen have more common sense than the finance minister. Okay? If only she will listen to the business community and understand their problems, GST will be a far better law. Okay. Going on to the General Classes Act. It's a very funny enactment. Again, in 1897, not just before independence, almost 50 years before independence. Can you see that? 1897, 1947 only we get our independence. Pre-independence enactment, still valid, still applicable. What is the goal? See, many concepts and words are regularly used in laws. Instead of elaborately explaining what it is every time, they want to explain it in this law. So that once it is explained here, I don't have to keep on explaining every time I use that word or concept. I don't have to explain it. So the idea is to shorten the language of central acts. What is a central act? We will see. Obviously, a central act is one which is passed by the central government. Okay? State act is one which is passed by the state government. Simple, but we will see the definition. Uniformity of expression in central acts, so that when a word is used or when a concept is given in one act, it will have the same meaning in all the central acts. Uniformity, especially. So for which they are giving certain definitions and certain terms in common use, and say when they say, when this term is used in a law, this is what it means. So that the definitional section of that law need not define it. Even if it doesn't define it, the definition will be taken from General Classes Act. Please understand. Which is why I always say, if you find a word in an enactment which you are not able to understand, or contextually it is confusing, please read, see that section itself, or that chapter, or that section. In that section, there may be an explanation. That explanation for the purpose of that section may define that word. Or go for the chapter. At the end of the chapter, there may be one section which gives definitions. Sometimes explanations are there. One section will be there. Usually, it will be in the section itself as the end. Explanations will be at the end. For the purpose of this section, this word shall mean this. Like that you have seen it a lot in Companies Act. Okay, I'm not able to locate it there. Then go to section 2. Section 2 of almost every law, section 2 is the definitional section. Section 2 or 3, depends. For example, in this law, 3 is the definitional section. 3 is the definitional section. 2, 3, somewhere in the beginning it will be there. 2. Look at those. If this word is defined there for that enactment, that is the definition. Okay, it's not defined here also. Then come to General Classes Act. That is why General Classes Act is there. Suppose it is defined in the General Classes Act, then that definition will apply. That is why this act has applicability to all central acts. So any central act uses a word not defined in that act, but defined in General Classes Act. General Classes Act will be, that definition will apply. Got it? Now, sir, not defined in General Classes Act also, sir. Then what you do? You go to dictionary. Only then you can go to dictionary. Till such time you cannot refer to the normal dictionary meaning of that word. You can't say, normally this word is understood in this way. Sorry, Oxford English Dictionary, Cambridge, Merriam-Webster. I can give you Ajar dictionaries. In my library of 23,000 books, I have easily about 25 dictionaries. 25 dictionaries I have. General dictionaries. Specialized dictionaries, I have about 50. General dictionaries, easily, my grandfather's original dictionary is there. Then I purchased a lot. American Merriam-Webster is there. I've got huge dictionary alone. That's why when people come to my office and I take them to the second floor and show them my library, they see that almost 24,000 books are there. They ask me, sir, have you read all the books? The first thing I tell them is, boss, obviously I have not read all these books because easily about 1,000, 2,000 of them are dictionaries and encyclopedias. Obviously I have not read all of them. Okay, the reference books I have not read completely. I refer to them whenever I want. Other than that, yes, non-fiction and fiction books, almost every book here has been read by me once in my lifetime. From the age of 9 onwards or 7 onwards, I've been reading. I have read it once. So why I'm telling, dictionary can be referred only after you close that section explanation, that chapter explanation, definitional section. If nowhere it is there, then go to General Classes Act, then dictionary. Okay. To state explicitly certain convenient rules for the construction and interpretation of central acts, especially with regard to service of notice, calculation of time, gender, okay, a number. These are all given in this law. The famous thing you saw in Companies Act, meetings where the members present shall form a valid quorum. There we said members is used. Even the words used in the plural include singular. Therefore, members includes member. All that is in the General Classes Act. We'll see that. To guard against slips and oversights by importing into every act certain common form clauses which otherwise ought to be inserted in every central act. We'll see that also. Especially on service of notice and all that. Even if they don't introduce it, it will apply. Oversight. One more thing. The word, see, when we discussed about financial year and calendar year, I told you that whenever in the act the word YEAR is used, not EAR. YEAR is used here, is used in the law. It always means calendar year. It always means calendar year. Means calendar year is British calendar. British calendar 1st January to 31st March. American calendar 1st July to 30th June. British calendar. So when we say calendar year, we mean British calendar year, which begins on the 1st of January, New Year, and ends on the 31st of December. Now, you might have asked me at that time itself, Ayush Agarwal or somebody should have asked me, or Pooja, sir, how do you know where it says YEAR means calendar year, sir? You tell me. I will tell you. It is given in this act, in the General Classes Act. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vishal Babu. Okay. To place in one single statute different provisions as regard interpretation of words and legal principles, which would otherwise have to be specified separately. So to save time, they have done it this way. Fantastic. Now this act applies to the Indian Parliament Central Act. Any act passed by the Indian Parliament is a Central Act. Any act passed by the Legislative Assembly of a state is a State Act. In our country, Legislature See, there are 3 points, right? I've already explained it to you. A government consists of 3, okay? When we formed the constitution, we divided the power of the government. So we divided the power in such a way that the power to make the law went to the parliament and to the state legislative assemblies. The constitution clearly defined what are the matters on which the parliament can pass on law. That is central act. What are the matters on which state government can pass law? Purely state subject. Got it? Purely state subject. Earlier, the indirect tax, sales tax was both central and state had the power. That is called union list, or that is called joint list. Okay, union list, state list, joint list. So the power is divided between the central government, state government. On some matters, both can pass. For example, on stamp duty, central law can also be there, state law can also be there. But there they are very clear what the central government can pass stamp duty on, levy stamp duty on certain things. State government can levy stamp duty on certain things. For example, deeds, etc., sale deed, etc., only state government can levy. Central government cannot. It is a state subject. That revenue goes to the state. Okay, like that, they have distinguished. Certain things state, certain things purely state, certain things. For example, alcohol, levy of excise or cess on alcohol, state subject, not central. Okay, which is why GST not applicable to alcohol. Alcohol, no GST, only VAT, local VAT, and local excise. Okay, that's because they have divided. So this act applies only to central acts. Also, there was a Dominion Legislature which was passed from 15th August to 26th January. What happened? That is why we have 26th January 1950 became the Republic Day. Incidentally, my birthday. Incidentally, not that Republic Day was celebrated for my birthday. It so happens I was born on Republic Day. 26th January 1966, I was born. Okay. Now, so till such time what happened was the Constitution had not come. Therefore, the Dominion Legislature was passed. Not relevant for us here. Because just history. Okay, don't bother about it. Not relevant. History. No, nice to know. Srikanth was born on 26/166. History. Nice to know for me, not even for you. Okay. Acts passed before the commencement of the Constitution by the Governor General or the acting in a legislative capacity. I mean, all this is before that. Our Constitution came. Once the Constitution of India has come, that is, so from this slide, what have I understood? The General Clauses Act applies to all the laws passed by the Parliament of India, which is called Central Act. Got it? Now, unless the context otherwise requires, the General Clauses Act shall, subject to any adaptations and modifications under Article 372, apply for the interpretation of the Constitution as it applies for the interpretation of an act of the Legislature of the Dominion of India. So, with respect to interpreting a central act, this law will apply to the Constitution also. So, when you want to interpret a central act, this applies to the Constitution with respect to rules for interpretation. But very, very important. Any other law, central or state law will apply only to that state. Any central law, you take it, first section will be, title will be there. This law shall be called blah. Then this law shall extend to the whole of India. Of course, our great Prime Minister did something very important. Okay, which is, he said, in those days it was not applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, except the state of, now it is applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir also. Okay, point is not that. Point is, very clearly there will be a territorial extent which is being specified in every enactment. General Clauses Act does not have any indication to territorial extent. They don't have to, because wherever a central law is applicable, made applicable, automatically General Clauses Act will apply. So if a law is applicable to Jammu and Kashmir, the General Clauses Act automatically applies to Jammu and Kashmir also. So they have not given any territorial jurisdiction. Okay, wherever a central law is applicable, they said, because in between 1947 to 1950, many things happened in this country. History. The princely states refused to join the Indian government. Can you imagine? The sovereign democratic Republic of India could not come into existence because the princely states refused. We needed a Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel to go and do this for us, to fight, to get their consent to join the Union of India. Okay? We are a union of states. We are a union. Okay? We are not United States. We are a union of states. There's a difference. The central government has a lot of power in this country. Okay? State governments have power too, but subservient to the central government. As against a federal republic like US, where the states have a lot of power, legislative power. Here, states have limited legislative power. Central government has more legislative power and clout. Okay? I mean, you need to understand the constitution to really appreciate what I'm saying, but doesn't matter. Point is, we have not prescribed territorial extent because wherever a central act is applicable, automatically the General Clauses Act will apply. If by a stroke of pen, our enlightened Prime Minister makes the law applicable to Jammu and Kashmir, automatically the General Clauses Act will apply to Jammu and Kashmir also. So there's a first section which is the title. I told you, every law, the first section will have what is known as the extent, commencement, application, title and all that. Okay, short title and all that. Okay, not important, not very important. Now we come to section 3, the general of the very important. That too, some definitions are very important. Hopefully today I will take some of the definitions and then next class we will complete the whole thing. Now, act here doesn't mean act of parliament. Act means something which I have done or you have done. What did you do? What is the act that you have done? Means what have you done? Act, action, act. So act used with reference to an offense or civil wrong shall include a series of acts and words which referred acts done extend also to illegal omissions. Simple. An act includes something which is not done also. Not doing is also an act. Illegal omission. Suppose in order to do something, I should have done something else. I have not done that. That is also an act. Not doing becomes an act. Failure or illegal omission becomes an act. An act required to be done cannot necessarily mean a positive act only. It may also include act which is one is precluded from doing from decree. So whatever I should do, act means what I should do should be done. What I should have done should be done. And what I should not do should not be done. Okay. All these are acts. Okay. So it applies to civil wrongs and crimes. Okay. Offense is a crime against society. That is a crime. A crime is an offense against society. Sorry, reverse. A crime is an offense against society. A civil wrong is an offense against an individual or a group. I'm making point. Crime is an offense against the society. When a young girl is molested by ruthless villains, ruffians, that is an offense against every one of us. It is an offense against society. But when somebody breaches the contract, it is an offense against the other party to the contract. So for a civil wrong, only party to the contract can sue. For a crime, society will take action through the parliament. Again, you and I cannot. There is a system, the police will take action appropriately. You and I as citizens are bound to give evidence, bound to be witness to that and provide the support. Act includes illegal omissions, but it does not include an omission which is not illegal. Okay, this is what they are trying to say. Central Act we already saw is an act of parliament. They have given a whole list of other laws also, like dominion, legislature, etc., etc. Do not waste your time trying to remember all this. Okay. As I told you, the 26th January 1950 is an important date because on that date, the Constitution of India came into existence. Okay, we became a sovereign, democratic republic, okay, run of the people, by the people, for the people. A great day when it's a celebration not of independence. We got independence in 47, but we became a sovereign democracy. Why it took so long? Thanks to the Maharajas and princely states. Okay, those asses refused to join a democratically elected parliament. Okay, so that is a problem. That's a beautiful piece of history that nobody actually bothers to. It's a great part of Indian history that many students don't even know. There is not much books also written. Big reason is, if that part of history is written, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has to become the hero of this country. The hero of this country. And he has to be seen as what he is, one of the greatest leaders that this country ever produced. But unfortunately, it was not possible at that time to write history that way. Sorry. Okay. Affidavit shall include affirmation and declaration in the case of persons by law allowed to affirm or declare instead of swearing. In fact, this was a very practical situation. One of my clients, I am doing some support for him in getting some unpaid dividend from the IEPF. Also, some shares are being transferred to the IEPF. I am helping him to get it back. It's a huge process. Believe me when I say this, it's a huge bureaucratic red tape. So we have to first of all give an affidavit. Now, the gentleman came to me and asked me, he's an engineer with about 40 years of experience. He said, Srikanth, what is an affidavit? Now, I have to explain to him what an affidavit is. Affidavit is a statement of fact given under oath. Affidavit is a statement of fact. It is an affirmation. It's a declaration of a fact given under oath. See, an affidavit has two parts. The first part will begin like this. I, Sridharan Srikanth, son of P.V. Sridharan, aged 57, residing at number 3 Vidyodaya Main Road, T Nagar, Chennai 17, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we'll go on. Hereby swear and declare and swear as follows. Swear. Okay, but somebody may not want to swear. So they'll say, I hereby affirm and declare that the following statements are true. Or I hereby affirm and declare the following statements. 1. Then I keep on giving. I am the owner of these shares mentioned in so-and-so folio number. During the 2015 flood in Chennai, the shares were destroyed. Then the shares were deteriorated. Therefore, I am not in possession of the share certificate. Okay. I want the shares to be dematerialized. Okay. Therefore, I hereby declare that the shares are not in my possession and that they were destroyed. So this is nothing but a truth. Then finally you say the second part of the affidavit will be a verification. It's called verification. You can see any government form, once you fill up that form, finally you will see there is a verification. Some of you may be doing articles, you may be uploading return of income for your clients, July 31st deadline returns. Just go through that. The return, at the end of the return, there will be a verification where the assessee will say, the facts stated above are true to the best of my knowledge and belief. Okay? So this is called an affidavit. I have now dictated, I have given you a content of an affidavit. This has to be put on 20 rupees stamp paper in the state of Tamil Nadu. I don't know about Maharashtra and other states. State of Tamil Nadu, 20 rupees. It should be signed, ideally notarized. A lawyer who is a notary should notarize it so that the lawyer does not notarize the content. Means he doesn't certify the content, but he certifies that this content was signed in his presence by this person and he acknowledges. It gives more validity to the document. Once it is notarized, that document cannot be questioned as a forged document. Once it is notarized, you cannot question the document on forgery grounds. You cannot say, this is not my signature, it has been forged. That is why whenever I have a controversial fellow coming saying, sir, I'll sign wherever you want. Then immediately I'll get it notarized. So tomorrow this fellow cannot come back and say, no, it's not my signature. He can't say that. He can't say that. After that, no more calligraphic evidence and all that. Because it's notarized. Yeah, a lawyer notarized it. In his presence only you signed it. So it cannot be. That is why notarizing is very important. Not that it's relevant here. I'm just, since we are talking general law here, I'm giving this input to you. So sometimes, what happens, see, a Hindu can swear. Non-Satyamaha Chalgare, I can swear. But some Christians are not allowed to swear because swearing is seen as taking the name of God in vain. You should not, see, God is so sacred, so great. சும்மாக்கெல்லாம் சத்தியம் பண்ணக்கூடாது. சாமி மேல சத்தியம்லாம் சொல்லக்கூடாது. Why? That's me and you and I will say as Hindus, we call God as witness. God, for our God is so great God, He will come as witness. There are many examples in temples where, in Madurai and all, you will see Sundareswarar has actually come as a witness and stood there and said, yes, this happened. Okay, so we are so friendly with our God, we call Him as witness. We will say, on God I swear. But some Christians, by their understanding of the Bible, are not allowed to take their name. Even Muslims should not take the name of God in vain. We should not bring God for all these small things. So for them, instead of swearing, they can affirm and declare. That is called affidavit. Otherwise, it's called an oath, okay, or a sworn statement. Affidavit is a bigger term. It is a written statement confirmed by oath or affirmation. So as a Hindu, I can give an oath. But if you feel that you cannot give an oath, sometimes again, there can be people who are atheists. They do not believe in God. So you cannot ask him to swear on God because he doesn't believe in God. So the oath will be. So for him, we have an affirmation. Okay, a declaration and an affirmation. That is called affidavit. Okay. Ultimate purpose of affidavit, my dear friends, is to use in evidence as in a court or any authority. For example, the IEPF will take this affidavit. Also, they will take an indemnity bond that in case somebody else claims the share, I will compensate you for the loss. Put that in the, then after a long time, after catching my throat and wasting my time, they'll finally, hopefully, credit the shares to the dematerialized demat account of my client. Hopefully. Okay. So the affidavit is usually used as evidence in court or before any authority where you want them to do something, you give an affidavit and say, this is what it is. So affidavit is an affirmation and declaration. Oath is an affidavit, it's an affirmation and declaration, but in the case of persons by law allowed to affirm or declare instead of swearing, he's taking an oath. Okay? But swear shall include affirming and declaring, who are allowed persons by law allowed to affirm or declare instead of swearing. All the terms have the same definition. That's why I am dealing with these three sections, though this is 3.3, this is 337, this is 362 together. The words affidavit, oath and swear have the same definition. All are same, except that a Christian cannot swear. Okay, so he will affirm or declare. Right. Sometimes, we say in those days, archaic documents, they will say, I so-and-so hereby make oath and swear, and all will say. You may not want to swear, then say, I hereby declare and affirm. Nothing wrong. Government includes both central and state government. Okay, both central and state. Idea is the word government is frequently used as a convenient abbreviation. So it should be construed according to the context. If it's a state legislature, it will mean state government. If it is a central law, it will generally mean central government. But ideally, they should. In the Companies Act, you will find many cases where state government is mentioned. If nothing is mentioned, it can be either state or central. The word government, if it is used without any central or state, it could mean any one of them. Okay. Rarely you will find it being used. Either very clearly say central government or state government. Okay. And they also told you, government is consisting of three parts. The legislature makes the law, executive implements the law, consisting of the chief secretary, the IG of police. They are the ultimate on the executive. They control the entire executive. Okay. And they control, in the state, the chief secretary controls the executive. Everything happens under his control. Then there are secretaries, under secretaries who take care of each department and all that. And of course, the ministers are there, representatives of the people to monitor these people. Please understand. The minister monitors these guys to ensure that they are working in the interest of the people. That's all. Okay. The executive is appointed by this president in our country, not by the prime minister. The president appoints the executive. The judiciary, again, the president appoints the judges. So in case the executive exceeds his authority or does something which is beyond the constitutional power, then the judiciary is there to protect you. And the minister, see, this is again funny. He is my representative, but he does something which is against me. Then I cannot catch him because he is my representative. So I will file only against the government, the executive, the central government or the state government of Tamil Nadu or government of Maharashtra or government of Uttarakhand, file a suit against them. file a complaint to the judiciary. Or if your constitutional fundamental right has been denied as a citizen of this country by the executive, go to the judiciary on a writ petition and say, kindly give me justice. That is why they are meant to give you justice. Okay. Normally, but you see, normally three things are there. But the minute we say government, it always denotes the executive, because the parliament is sitting somewhere in Delhi. The courts are inaccessible to us and we cannot go to them on and off. So what we see on a day-to-day basis is the executive, the ministries, the government employees, the government servant. Okay. You know that famous Vadivelu joke is there. No, I am a government servant, like that. So we see their power and might. We see their arrogance. But so for us, government means the executive only. Okay. Good. So central government consists of party states, which are, this is interesting, but not important. Okay. This was under the British, this was how it was. And many of my friends from Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh and Kerala may be a little upset to see that their state itself is not mentioned here, because all that came under Madras and some parts of Kerala came under the Travancore. Okay. It came under Travancore, Cochin, and some of it came under Madras. Okay. So Nagarkoil, Kanyakumari, Nagarkoil and Travancore right up to Kollam, right up to Kochi came under the Travancore Maharaja, who then had his own vassals like the Cochin Maharaja and all that. Okay, so on and so forth. Right? Kollam there was a Raja. Also, everywhere there was a Raja. So Andhra also, rest of Andhra Pradesh. Then you had the Nawab of Golconda. Okay, the Nawab of Hyderabad and Golconda, Hyderabad. Telangana itself was like that. So Madras presidency was a huge presidency, right up to Mysore in Karnataka, almost, and down. Where Bijapur Sultans were not there, Bijapur was not there, the central provinces was not there, it was under the Madras presidency. Huge presidency. When they made the states, they divided into, by language, they divided into 5 states. Now 5, in those days 4. Andhra, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, based on the language. But that entire thing, almost the entire thing was the Madras presidency. Dakshin Bharat. For your information. Okay. Orissa was one of the old states. Punjab was there. Formerly East. Now the West Punjab went to Pakistan. The entire Punjab was here. Then one part went to Pakistan. Uttar Pradesh. Now that itself is 4 states, I think. Okay. Or 3. I think 3 or 4. Uttaranchal, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh itself, I think 3. Maybe one more I'm missing out. Anyway, all this is just stories. You read it whenever you want. Part B states. Okay. Please note, these are the fellows, guilty fellows, Jammu and Kashmir, Hyderabad, Madhya Bharat, Mysore. And then you had smaller fellows also. Ramnad, Pudukkottai, all these fellows were there. Okay. Together. All of them together were the princely states. Okay. Hyderabad itself was under the Nawab. That was one big state. This is one beautiful part of Indian history that many of you have missed out on. Kindly take an opportunity. There's no good book also. I have not really read a good, well-written book on this part of Indian history. How the princely states were brought to task by Patel and made to join the Union of India. In fact, one nice, interesting point, State Bank of India had about 6 subsidiaries. State Bank of India had 6 subsidiaries. They have now been merged into State Bank of India. They were originally independent. You know how they came? State Bank of India was the imperial bank. State Bank of India was the bank which was run by the British in India, in the Indian Dominion. They were called the imperial bank. The princely states had their own treasuries and banks. Each one of these fellows. There was a Bank of Saurashtra, there was a Bank of Rajasthan. Remember? Bank of Patiala, Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Jammu and Kashmir, State Bank of Hyderabad, State Bank of Travancore. These were all the banks. Each of these princely states were having their own central bank, and they were having their own coins and currency notes and all. But then, of course, 1950, everything over. Come and sit. Be a part of a democratic country. And so that happened. I have nothing against the princely states. In fact, in a way, as a colonial aficionado, I love that era of our country. But then, the minute we decided to become a democracy, We can't have kings here. We can't have people who say that it is their birthright to rule over others. Nobody has a birthright to rule over us. We are a democratic country. We elect our own representatives. Okay, Part C states and all. This is just for the extension. Do go through it. If you have any doubt, you can take it up and ask me. Please read this because I can't go through every aspect of it. Some of it is not relevant also. Commencement is very important. Let's hopefully finish that and stop today. Commencement means the date on which the act or regulation comes into force. See, when it is passed in Parliament by the Lok Sabha, nothing happens. It goes to the Rajya Sabha approved, nothing happens. It gets the assent of the President, maybe something happens. No, it has to be notified in the official gazette. So, while notification, the central government will give the date on which the law will come into force. So, there is something called publication and notification. We publish it in the official gazette. Then in that publication, we mention this law will come into force, and a full enactment may not come into force fully. I can pass it in Parliament, get the assent of the President, publish it in the official gazette, but I can say only these sections will come into force. So how they will say is the law will come into force from time to time by notification. So that means at the time of publication, nothing has happened. Subsequently, they will notify it. There will be a separate circular notification by which they will say Section 16 is notified. Like that. Okay. So coming into force or entry into force refers to the process by which the legislation, regulations, treaties, and other legal instruments come to have legal force and effect. So there should be a legislative enactment. Okay. Then once the constitutional validity has been given, then it has to be notified. Okay, good. I think it's affidavit request stamping. Yes, in the state of Tamil Nadu, 20 rupees. In the state of Tamil Nadu. I am again being careful because stamp duty on affidavit is state subject. So I don't know what the law is in your state. Whichever state you are, find out what is the stamp duty. But to my knowledge, 20 rupees is there. In Tamil Nadu, 20 rupees. What is the work of executive? Sir, your everything. Ministry of Corporate Affairs is part of the executive. Everything. Ministry of Home Affairs is part of the executive. Everything. Anything that the government does, it does it through the executive. The police force is an executive. The police, IG of police, executive. Everything. The executive is the eyes, ears, nose, hands, legs with which they beat us. Okay? That is the government. If you want to see the government, go there. An IAS officer, he represents government. The police officer, he represents government. Okay, the might and power of the government of this country is in there. They can do whatever they want because they are empowered by the appointment letter and the constitution to do what they want. Okay, sorry, I'm being a little too thing here, but then, yeah, they are the executive. Why are they doing it? Because in the interest of all of us, they have been told to monitor and all. Some of them are doing it. But also they have certain authority which you know very well what happens. Yeah, the entire power of the government is vested in the executive. That is why a government servant, and that very well will tell, no, I am a government servant. You can't touch me. You can't, because that one stroke of pen, he can change your life. For example, in those days, you had the Essential Commodities Act. One stroke of pen, the collector can change the life of the trader, completely confiscate his goods. All the powers are there. When in any companies act, a classic example. Central government can do this, central government can do that. Which means what? Who is central government? Right from the registrar of companies and the assistant registrars, all the way up to the secretary. Everybody is government. Each one having its own power, doing whatever they want. If you want to do something, you have to get their approvals. Then only can do it. It's all in our interest. It is meant to protect us so that illegal things cannot happen and our interest will be protected. Which is why if the government wants to do something, they have to state the reasons. A government officer cannot do it arbitrarily. Before passing an order, the government officer should record his reasons and he should establish that it is in the interest of the people of this country or any specific group. Only after that justification he can approve it. Suppose he does it without that, then the judiciary will kill him. Say, where did you get that? What benefit for anybody? Simply because you don't like that fellow, you pass an order. Is it? No. Okay. So, I mean, I'm thinking here more as an advocate than as a chartered accountant. So, and going forward, my dear friends, in the times to come, you and I, as future chartered accountant and I, we have to be very much aware of our legal rights under the Constitution. Because every time we have to seek constitutional remedy. Because today the faceless assessment is a miscarriage of executive power. The statement made is a statement by the speaker and not the view of the Board of Studies or the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. But having said that, I repeat it. The faceless assessment is a miscarriage of executive power. Right, left and center, they pass bad orders. We have to go to High Court to get a writ for quashing the order. Nonsense. They are not doing their job. Okay, that is the point. But this is the executive. The income tax officer is an executive. The assistant commissioner is an executive. Everything, when the government has to do something, that is done through the executive. That is why it's called executive. Okay, I seriously don't know. Saurashtra is not. Saurashtra is Saurashtra. It's part of Gujarat, I suppose. Parts of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Saurashtra. So I think mainly Gujarat. The old Saurashtra. Now there is no Saurashtra. Just like there is no Madras Presidency, there is no Saurashtra. You have only Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. I don't know. I really don't know. Saurashtrians, because Saurashtrians are there all over the south. Right up to Madurai in South India, we have Saurashtrians. People whose origin is from Saurashtra. But then I think the word Saurashtra was not retained in the name of the state. Some parts of Gujarat, I really don't know. I'm sure Saurashtrians will know better. Those who claim to be descendants of people who came from Saurashtra will know. Anyway, in fact, Saurashtrians sometimes get confused for Maharashtrians, Marathis, who are this side. Sort of, they're all same area. See, all these lines were drawn by the government afterwards, once post-independence. Before independence, it was totally different barriers and boundaries. Anyway, see, if you don't like history, then you're doomed to repeat it. That's why sometimes I go back in time and find out what exactly happened at that time. Then because that has a link with what's happening now. Something is not happening now without a link in the past. Okay, unless we understand what happened in the past. If we say ignore the past, we will never be able to understand why it's happening in present. Okay, commencement we've already seen. So a law will commence only when it is notified. Notification in the official gazette. We'll see what is an official gazette very shortly. Document any matter. See, the word document definition you saw in interpretation of statutes. Do you remember when you were taught interpretation of statutes, they taught you document. The definition of the word document from both from the Transfer of Property Act and also from the General Classes Act. Any matter written, expressed or described upon any substance by means of letters, figures or marks or by more than one of those means. See how Macaulay, wow, Transfer of Property Act Macaulay. Okay, wow. Any matter written, expressed or described upon any substance by means of substance. He doesn't use the word paper. What brilliance. Substance, which could include digital surface, digital also. Okay, your computer memory, silicon, everything is a substance, Okay, by means of letters, figures or marks. Even marks are covered or by more than one of those means. Okay. So which is intended to be used or which may be used for the purpose of or recording that matter. It's a very beautiful definition for it, which means even without your Information Technology Act, the word document is definitely valid enough to include electronic message. Suppose you send an email, that is a document. Okay? Because it's written, it is expressed on by means of letters on a substance. Okay? And it is intended to be used for the purpose of recording that matter, right? Anyway. Document, any substance upon which any matter is written or expressed. The word expressed is wider than written by means of letters or figures for recording that matter. So book, file, painting, prescription, even computer files are documents. Beautiful, no? 1897, there was no imagination of computer. But these guys had intelligence to define so openly that even today it is valid. Whereas with all our knowledge, this Companies Act, not able to draft properly. Okay, we are not able to draft. We don't have any vision. We don't understand how the world is going to change, how things are going to happen. We simply draft for today in what knee jerk. Whatever happened, immediately we'll pass a law. No, sir. We should pass laws like 1897 law, 1872 law, contract, Indian Contract Act. Hundreds of years that law should live. And technology may change, society may change, but the principles of that law should not change. Then only it becomes real law. Which is why, I give a lot of importance to Indian Contract Act. Mind it, 1956 Act has to be revamped into 2013 Act. So what greatness? 56 Act was useless then. You are accepting it yourself. No, that is wrong. 56 Act was a good act. It should have simply amended. No need for replacing it. Whereas 1890, 1892, 1897, 1872, cannot touch it. I mean, I'm being overly praising a Britisher. So some of you who are patriotics may not like me praising, especially a villain like Lord Macaulay. But then we should appreciate things which are good. No, even if he is our enemy, Matran Thotattu Mallige, we have to appreciate. Even if it's a lily or a jasmine growing in my enemy's garden, I should have the courtesy to appreciate it. Am I correct? So, however, it does not include Indian currency notes. Okay, currency notes are not documents. Okay, currency notes are not documents. Please do not write on the currency note. I've seen so many currency notes. Priya loves Raju. Currency note. And today, if you write all that and give it, it will not be accepted as legal tender. You write anything on that paper, it is not legal tender. Do not accept a currency note on which anything is written because it is not valid as a legal tender. Okay, any defacing, anything, they'll put Priya, then love signal, Raju. Yeah, what juvenile behavior here? Don't do that. Okay. Good. Inscription means when you carve it, when it is carved, or shall we say, you make an indelible mark on a metal or on a rock. That is called inscription. You have no eye hole inscription and all that. In what is that? Qutub Minar, you have that. In Maroli, you have that bronze, inscription is there. You go and see it. And after you go gaze at the huge tower and then go a little bit inside, you will see the Maroli bronze inscription, one of the oldest inscriptions. In those days, when Maharajas and Sultans wanted to record something now, they didn't put it on paper. They inscribed it on rock. Go to any South Indian temple, you will on the walls you will see inscriptions. They are actually donations. Land donations are inscribed on the walls, on the rock. Inscribed means to make an indelible mark on metal or rock. My understanding. Inscriptions. As against writing. Write, mark, indite. Okay. In any way, if you delineate words, letters, figures on any substance, it is writing on a document. Okay. Official Gazette we will do and then I will stop. Okay. Official Gazette is a publication. Just like a newspaper is published to give news, the government of India, both central government and state government, publish an official magazine called Gazette. It's not a magazine. It is a book that gives, it's an announcement. So anything which is published in the official Gazette, it amounts to public notice. Friends, once I publish it in the official Gazette, it becomes public knowledge. It is constructive notice. Tomorrow, somebody cannot say, I am not aware. Because technically, all of us are supposed to read the official Gazette every week. As a citizen of the country, you have to read the Gazette. Because if it is published in the Gazette, you are deemed to know it. Deemed, constructive notice. Got it? When something is filed with the registrar, MCA portal, it is constructive notice now. Like that, when something is published in the Gazette, constructive notice. Even in the Companies Act, you will find the word official Gazette and Gazette. Official Gazette or Gazette means either the Gazette of India, which is for central government. All central government will come. Or the official Gazette of a state. See, the official gazette is used for other purposes also. For example, when you want to change your name, then you have to publish in the official gazette. You have to give a small, for which you will be charged. You will want small line advertisement that I, so-and-so, donkey, hereby change my name to monkey. Then thereafter you will become monkey. That's all. So, because it becomes public notice. So you have to give public notice, nobody should object, then your name will be changed. So the official gazette is a public journal. Okay, it's a legal document. It can be provided as evidence. Tomorrow if somebody says, sir, it is there, then the gazette can be shown. Sir, it has been published in the gazette. All the laws which are passed in parliament will be published in the official gazette. Also, notification of the sections laws will be published in the official gazette. It is published weekly by the Department of Publication, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So they keep publishing. It's available online also. Today, most lawyers get it online. You can go and see it. You can just, official Gazette of India, you Google. If you have nothing better to do, do it. I mean, unless you have to hire an advocate who will then every week the advocates will read. And whenever they see something which is prejudicial to your interest being published, they will inform you. For which you have to pay him every month some retainer for doing this activity of reading the Gazette. Okay? It is authentic. It is ultimate proof. It is accurately and strictly in accordance with the government policies and decisions. See, which is why whenever I refer to the BEAR Act, I prefer to go to the government sources. I'm not joking. One leading publisher of law publisher, I don't want to name that in the open forum like this, the Companies Act that they had published, the BEAR Act, had so many errors. Then I wrote to the publisher very strongly and I said, as a consumer, I am going to sue you. So then what they did, they sent me a fresh copy, which had another 2 mistakes. Then I met the publisher when he came to Chennai. He met me, Mr. Kanji. What is this? I said, what nonsense. If a textbook is having error, we can blame the author. He will apologize. Even my book has had errors. Because after all, I'm a human being. When I wrote the book, there was some minor typographical, sometimes no logical error, typographical errors were there. So, but this is BEAR Act, yeah. You have to take it directly from the Gazette of India and publish it. Okay. Just as the Gazette of India is there, you have the official Gazette of the state also. So the government of Maharashtra, the government of Mizoram, the government of Meghalaya will have its own official Gazette. Okay. So this is how it is there. It's a nice law, no? The General Clauses Act is a very nice law. Because of today's time is over, I'm going to stop here. I use the monkey, donkey and all not to irritate us. It's fun with an monkey. I'm a donkey. In some cases, I behave like a donkey. If my mind is a monkey, okay, I behave like a monkey. Okay, we have to control that donkey and control that monkey. We become human being. We can transcend becoming a human being. We can become God also. Everything is in our hands. God gave this opportunity to us, this human body and birth as an experiment. He's saying, try. One more chance I'm giving you. Do something with your life. It's up to you to prove it. Are you going to, or am I going to remain a monkey or a donkey? Or am I going to go beyond that, at least become a human being? Or am I going to transcend it and become equal to God spiritually? That is in our hands. Okay. On that note, on this Thursday, Guruvar, I salute all of you and wish you all the best and look forward to meeting you on Saturday. Before you come on Saturday, please read the entire chapter on General Clauses Act. If you have any doubts, come prepared with questions. I may be going a little fast on that day to conclude the syllabus and without prejudice to your knowledge, without prejudice to your ability to get marks in the exam. Don't worry about that. Okay. Wishing you all the very best. Have a great day. Bye.